Thank you all very much. Enjoyed hearing your news. The final candidate that's going to respond to your questions is the Democrat running for governor. He is an attorney. His name is Deval Patrick, and I'm going to ask him about. Why don't we start with expiring use properties? There are some landowners who got into it to make money the American way.
Can I take these out of order?
You can handle that.
Okay.
Their contracts are now expiring. Should we spend the $23 million that's set aside? Yes?
Yes. Oh, yes.
And what about legislation to preserve those properties in the future?
That's a harder one for me. First of all, yes, we should definitely release the funds, and we probably need additional funds. We're up against the issue of expiring use because we haven't been doing the job to get ready for the fact that units are coming off the affordable rules. And to me, the emphasis needs to be placed not so much, and I realize it's hard, but not so much on how it is we demand that developers who had a deal keep these units as affordable, but how we create affordable opportunities behind them and how we make the money available if they choose to renew those contracts. So I think the $23 million is a start, but I think about the amount of money tied up in something like the Massachusetts Housing Finance Agency right now that can and ought to be devoted into creating new affordable units all across the Commonwealth. That, to me, is where the action.
Is legislation too much like rent control?
Well, I don't know what it's like. And I'm open. Argue with me about it. I've met a lot of you through the course of the campaign. I know you're not shy about arguing with me. All I'm saying is I just think that's a Band-Aid. And what we've done is open a wound. We created this wound by not doing the job, by continuing to develop affordable opportunities for people. And we got to get back to basics, it seems to me.
The affordable housing bond cap, 125.
Raise the cap. I will say that I have advocated, and Christie has as well, and I think Grace as well, the doubling of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. I would add to that I would match, because employers are so hungry for opportunities for working people as well. I would match dollar for dollar state money to private money, an additional $25 million for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. I support this cost-cutting program, and as I say, I think there is so much in the way of resources locked up right now, quite mysteriously, as far as I can tell, in the Massachusetts Housing Finance Agency. I do want to get to those resources as well. And the question of how much to increase the bond cap, I don't know. I don't know. I ask you to help me think about that. It's clear we've got room. We can afford a higher bond cap. And I look to those of you in this room to help me understand what that level ought to be for us to make some meaningful progress.
Technical assistance for small business. Successful this year, but only 1 year.
Right.
Will you fund it if you were the governor, and would you fund it in succeeding budgets?
I will fund it in my first budget and in every budget for the 2 terms you give me to serve. That isn't enough, because technical assistance, it is important, particularly in terms of getting, learning how to develop a business plan and do the basic financials of a business. But startup capital and working capital is hugely important. And when I look at a program like this SBIC program at the federal level, SBA program, that's expiring, there's an opportunity, I think, to create a similar program here in the Commonwealth, where we take public money that we'd be investing in, combine it with private venture capital, make that available for targeted investments in small and medium-sized businesses across the Commonwealth. That's where most jobs get created. That's where most wealth gets created. I want to add that component as well, because I think startup and working capital is also key to making a small business community succeed. I have a couple of ideas and a couple of specific plans, and as I say, I'm open to others. First of all, I think that summer, and as Grace said, winter, job and volunteer opportunities are key for all kinds of reasons. Opportunities to understand the responsibility that comes from work, having other people depend on you, the order and the discipline that comes from that, the opportunity to have a constructive alternative to being on the streets. I think longer school day and after-school programs is key. That does, I will tell you, well, when I talk about longer, the first time I mentioned that point was in front of 700 middle schoolers in Marlboro. They were not as enthusiastic as you. But I don't think it's just more classroom time. I think it's after-school and enrichment programs. I think it's supervised homework, which can be profound for a family who doesn't speak different families over the problem is, it seems to me, one problem is that we have a school day that doesn't fit with the work day right now. And we have to deal with that in our schools and in our communities. I will say that developing the right programs should not come, in my view, from the top down. It has to come from the community up. You have to tell us what ways your government can help you help yourselves. And by the way, youth and youth workers have to be a part of that conversation too, in my view.
You do have an opportunity for a wrap-up, a summary of statements.
Well, I would just say that, we have run a grassroots campaign over the last 18 months because I believe that we need a grassroots government, which is to say we have been out in communities all over the Commonwealth, and I see a lot of familiar faces in this room, asking people who have checked out to check back in. And to understand that this is not my campaign, it's ours, it's yours. It's not any one leader's government. It's our government, and we need to start taking control of and responsibility for that again. And that isn't just a formula to win an election. That's a different philosophy for government. See, I need you and your voices and your thinking at the table day after day after day, helping me understand the ways in which government can help you help yourself. That's a relationship and a philosophy and a vision about a community that we need to rebuild, because I understand from the south side of Chicago, where I grew up, a broken place, and the communities that I have learned from and experienced here and live in here in Massachusetts. The community is understanding the stake that each of us has, not just in our own dreams and our own struggles, but in our neighbors as well. That's what we have to rebuild. If any of the great programs we've been talking about have any chance, and I'm committed to that, and I want your help. I'm glad to be with you. Thank you very much.
Perspective. Thank you all for your attention.